Welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Circleberg Burkle, here with the host today, Aaron and Joe. Go ahead and say hi, guys.
Hi.
Alright, so in this video, we'll be giving you guys our biggest winners and losers from the week 1 of the 2024 NFL season.
If you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
Yep, we're on our way to 250 subscribers, so your subscription means a lot in helping us reach that goal. But let's go ahead and get back to the video. So starting off with our biggest winners and losers from week 1 of the 2024 NFL season, my first winner of the week goes to, and this might be a surprise, Josh Allen.
On
Yeah.
the roller coaster?
Yeah. I mean, well, he had one of his climaxes this week, in which he threw for 232 yards. Not super impressive as far as yardage goes, but did have 2 touchdowns to no picks, 39 rushing yards on 9 carries, with a couple rushing touchdowns as well, including 1 hurdle over, I believe, Buda Baker, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, just a hell of a week from Josh Allen. He really kind of kicked off that potential MVP campaign that he may be on pretty strong this week. A lot of people think that, with the limited options he has in the receiving game this year, MVP is kind of his for the taking, as he should be able to put up some gaudy numbers in both the passing and the running game, I would think, to multiple different receivers, not have to key in on Stephon Diggs. So, started that off tremendously this week, knocking off the Arizona Cardinals, but they looked a little feisty, so who knows if they end up, going on and having a pretty successful season. Maybe we'll look back at this win a little bit more fondly. But, yeah, Josh Allen really kind of shined as one of the top quarterbacks of week 1 this year. So, one of my first winners.
Some of mine are kind of winners, losers mixed together. So, my first winner is Michael Penix. Kirk Cousins didn't play all that well. 16 for 26 for 155 yards, 2 interceptions. So, I think a lot of people were hoping for a little bit better and maybe a little bit faster start out of Atlanta there, but I think some growing pains along with, maybe some subpar talent there in the receiver room could hurt. On the bright side, Bijan Robinson got some more touches than he did last year, and I think his fantasy owners will be happy about that, right, Burke?
Oh, yeah. I would know if I had him this year, but yeah, he ruined that for me. So, not because I didn't want to draft him, just because he wasn't available.
I mean, I don't know if Michael Penix would have much of a day with that. That Steelers defense just taking over. TJ Watt should have had 3 sacks, but they negated 2 of them with some BS flags. So, Anyways, go Steelers. Suck it, Falcons. My week 1, one of my winners is Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold, to be specific. Other question marks coming into the season, rightfully so. The guy was seeing a few ghosts just not too long ago. The way that game played out, I think those ghosts decided to transfer over to Daniel Jones, because that was an awful performance.
I don't know if they're just not transferring.
I think they just permanently reside in New York or New Jersey, I guess.
He doesn't just throw to ghosts. They tackle him too. He can't run.
That's true. Trip him up on
who it is,
breakaway touchdown runs. That's facts.
So yeah, I'm going with Darnold. I mean, 19 for 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but I mean, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, a 28-6 win with your biggest question mark being your quarterback, and he does that, I mean, I don't know what else you're really asking for. Aaron Jones had 14 carries. I mean, 94 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's going to help a guy like Darnold out. Justin Jefferson found his way in the end zone. Looked like he didn't miss a step. He's good. So, I mean, Sam Darnold, that's arguably probably his best performance of his career, and it's in week 1, which is a tough thing to do when you see how good some of the other elite quarterbacks did this week. I mean, it's week 1. It's a tough start to the season. So, yeah, definitely going with Sam Darnold and the Vikings on that, man.
Yeah, no,
I think it's his second best performance. I think his best performance was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was like a Halloween weekend when he ended up with mono. So that was a
Oh.
pretty stellar off the field performance for him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm guessing not the same selection of women up in Minnesota. No offense, but yeah, I don't hate that at all. Sam Darnold had an incredible week. I hope he keeps tearing it up there in Minnesota. That's for my first loser of the week. Deshaun Watson, one of the worst quarterback performances I may have ever seen in my entire life. He had 169 yards passing and a passing touchdown. Most of those yards came on that touchdown drive, though, where they just happened to put it all together. Deshaun Watson was just terrible. Made me physically angry while watching that Cowboys-Browns game. Just absolutely awful. Didn't seem like he was even trying at times, and especially on the deep balls, I feel like he just threw it as far as he could, not even hoping his receiver could run under it, because he knew that wasn't going to happen. I think he just wanted to show off his arm strength for some reason. On top of that, he just took 6 sacks, didn't seem to know how to get rid of the football. I don't think the offensive line was, the greatest yesterday or Sunday, but at the same time, I mean, he's got to know when to get rid of the football. He's got to know when to, be able to escape, or when he can't escape, because that seemed to be an issue for him. He seems to think he's Houston Texans Deshaun Watson still, and that's just never been the case since he got to Cleveland. So, yeah, biggest loser probably by far for me was Deshaun Watson. He just looks like he
Just to put it into perspective,
yeah.
this is Burke. This is just his messages blowing us up about how pissed off he was
Go ahead.
about Deshaun Watson. So yeah, man. There you go.
Yeah.
Just for all the people to see.
They were brutal.
Yeah, I guess I'll piggyback off that with my first loser, being QBs in general. Not a lot of great quarterback play out of week 1, which not necessarily unexpected. Defense, usually kind of have the turn of the corner there, but 16, half of the quarterbacks threw for under 200 yards. One of them threw for under 100 yards. Burke's guy. In a total of 20.
Sure
Well,
did
one
too.
of Burke's guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Caleb did too. So chill.
Who was the other one?
Will Levis.
No, he threw for over.
Oh, did he? Hey, that's my guy. That's my guy.
This was, he was just on the sideline yelling about his bananas being
If you
peeled.
count the ones going the other way.
The worst interception I've ever seen in history.
Yeah, 23 total interceptions thrown week 1, so QB's gotta step it up for week 2.
With that, I'm gonna just kind of piggyback. It's part of the quarterback train. My first loser goes to the Packers. Just simply Jordan Love going down and out. Shame on the Packers fans for sending DMs to
Yeah.
his name
Oh,
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Yeah.
Jordan Love. Stuff like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I don't know if there's many players, if any, that are really out there, especially trying to do that to a young guy. Especially when he's a young guy in his own right, trying to make a name for himself. But anyways, that just losing Jordan Love when he got the mega contract extension this offseason. It looks like a guy. A lot of stuff is on his shoulders as far as to how far this team can go. That's just a tough blow. It was a close game in week 1. I mean, it was kind of ugly a little bit on both sides, but nonetheless, knowing that guy's out for at least 3-4 weeks, hoping not longer, but you never know. I mean, that could be something that just lingers on for the rest of the year. Who knows? But that's just not how you want to open up your season, especially after giving your future franchise quarterback that contract he got.
Yeah, massive blow to the Packers, and I totally agree. I don't think Jalen Carter was trying to injure Jordan Love on that play. It seemed like he missed the sack originally and was on his way leaning back up to try to reacquire the sack, and that's just unfortunate events happen. So I don't think that was intentional by any means or a dirty play.
It'd be different if it was like, the alligator roll type thing.
Yeah,
but, like, we've
exactly.
seen
Which it
guys
didn't
do
look like that
but
at all. He let
just
go.
kinda fell
He
and
let go when he first went around him, and then he was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
it's still going." Reached back up to try to tackle him, and that's when it happened.
Exactly.
So,
It's unfortunate, but that's a big blow to the Packers and especially the fan base. So that's
Yeah.
the only reason that's a loser.
oh, for sure. Staying in that game, actually, going with a defensive player on the Philadelphia side, Zach Bond, having a bit of a breakout game Friday night. 15 tackles, including 11 solo, 2 sacks by him alone, and just seemed like he was everywhere on the field for the Philadelphia defense. Was always in the backfield, putting pressure on Jordan Love and stopping runs behind the line of scrimmage. It seems so. Just huge shout out to Zach Bond. I think. It seems like he's got a good chance at solidifying a role on that Philadelphia defense, which could use a lot of help, specifically in the linebacker position. So whether he's coming off the edge or maybe even sitting back in pass coverage out there, I think he's going to be a big weapon for that Philadelphia defense. And he's still pretty young, so a lot of room to grow. Should continue to just get better. I think this was a really good display of his talents Friday night. So
Yeah, I've got fantasy owners of Chris Boswell / Jake Moody.
oh yeah, me,
both kickers
Jake
going-
Moody. Let's go.
Both
He won
kickers
me.
going
He
6
won
for
me my
6
matchup.
per field goal attempts. So I'm sure they're stoked at the 20-some points
22.
that their kickers got them to win their league or their matchup, their week
That's
one
damn
matchup.
right. They got won by 20, and he had to be 22. So Jake Moody.
And so Boswell was one of my winners, and that wasn't as a Steelers fan. It was 6 for 6, first career punt after our punter got hurt. I mean, heck of a freaking game. 3 of them were over 50 yards. But I'll switch it up then. Instead of just doing that, my next shout out might, to the average football fan, might have gone unnoticed. You two will absolutely appreciate this. Leo Chenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have to spy Lamar Jackson, I don't care who it is. That is not a job I don't think that anyone will willingly want to take on the field. Like Lamar Jackson, remind you, Chanel had a good game. Lamar Jackson still ended up with 122 rushing yards. So like that'll go and put it in perspective of like, that was a good game. Imagine how much worse it could have been, how much of the big plays he could have made without it. But, I mean, Chanel had 7 tackles, he had 1 tackle for loss, and he had 2 pass deflections. And I'm pretty sure one of them was when Lamar was scrambling, rolling
Would have been a
out,
touchdown.
and try to come across the field. Yeah,
Yep.
and he just jumped up, got it. Like, his single job, it seemed like, especially in that fourth quarter, was just follow Lamar. He didn't cover nothing, didn't just follow Lamar. And if anybody's ever watched Lamar Jackson, you can watch his YouTube highlights. One-on-one, I'm putting all my money on Lamar Jackson every single time. So I got to give him his props of just stepping up to an unfavorable matchup and doing just enough to get the win. I mean, that's a team player right there, and he did a hell of a job.
Well, he gave Cole Holcomb or Patrick Queen the blueprint for you guys, so now y'all just got to go out and execute. So, my biggest loser on the defensive side, Jets defense was surprised. I know they were facing the Niners. But to not allow or not to force any punts after the first drive is impressively bad, especially for a defense that is supposed to be like top 5, right? So going into that game with the expectations that I think Jets fans specifically had for that defense, they were hoping for at least, to keep the Niners under 30, which didn't happen. They were probably hoping to look at least a little bit more like a top-tier defense, despite playing a top-tier offense, because that's what top-tier defenses do, and the Jets were just really anything but that. No forced turnovers. Like I said, only the 1 forced punt, allowing Jake Moody to go 6 for 6 from field goal range, just allowing the Niners offense to just march down the field at will, score whenever they wanted to. And I don't want to take any credit away from the Niners offense because it is really, really, really good, obviously. But the Jets defense is supposed to be really, really good too. and they just were not. So Jets defense were probably my biggest losers on the defensive side because like the Panthers, we expect the Panthers to be terrible. The Jets were supposed to be good, and they weren't.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like the only reason that Saleh still has a job at this point is because
The defense.
he's known for having good defenses. And if they don't have a good defense this year, I think it's all but guaranteed that he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not great at handling, drama situations as a head coach.
No, he's not a locker room guy. He's supposed to be an X's and O's guy. So
Yeah. My next loser is the NFL / referees for their emphasis of the illegal formations.
that was
Because
bad.
having
You guys
such
would know. You guys would know.
They
having
made
such
extra emphasis there.
profound impact on the first game of the season, Ravens Chiefs, and then you watch all Sunday, and there was one point I was watching the Colts Texans game. The entire line was behind the center. Not even the guards were breaking his belt line, and no flag was thrown. So to have such an impact on the first game of the year and just kind of not see it the rest of the week was frustrating. It probably, especially for Baltimore fans, but like as somebody who wants consistent calls across the board, that just infuriated me.
Yeah, I think that's a good one because I think Chris Collinsworth or someone was trying to soften the blow Sunday night and was saying that like this was twice as many as they had in week 1, throughout the league. But like 8 of the 22 or whatever were in the first game of the season. So
And it's not like it's a subjective sort of thing like pass interference where they'll let them do a little more hand fighting down the field. Some crews
Right.
more so than others.
it's supposed to be objective.
It's literally looking down the line of scrimmage and are they breaking the center's belt line?
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's an easy rule to follow, and if you're not gonna follow it, it should be enforced or not. Pick one, but don't single out a team and then just let it go the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, and I wonder how many of those illegal formation calls or flags that were called were receivers that would typically happen before this got emphasized. Just them happen to not be on the line when they're supposed to be or whatever. So that would knock that number down
Like,
even
for
more.
you guys are Chiefs fans, and so like you already know everyone's coming at you. Everyone's about,
Right.
oh, they're favoring the Chiefs. But like you can't call those, and then I'm sure you guys saw it too. But like Jawan Taylor's still doing the kind of jumping a little early on some of them. Like not
Yeah.
all the time. He doesn't do it all.
And
the
he
time,
got
I'm
called
not
for it
gonna
like
be
once or
crazy.
twice.
He's not the
but-
only one, though.
Yeah.
He's not the only one.
I'm not saying that. But like you call a guy who's in formation and not jumping, and then you don't call like the opposite side. Like it makes it worse for you guys as Chiefs fans or a Chiefs player. Of like it looks more unfair to them. Like
for sure.
it
I get that too
doesn't
because
bode
it
well
used to
for
feel that
anyone.
same way when the Patriots were running the league. So I get that.
exactly yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, my next one is we're on losers, right? I
Yeah.
kinda lost track on that. So my next loser is the NFC East as a whole.
Mm.
I know the Cowboys won, but I don't know if you guys remember if you saw on Hard Knocks the Giants or the fans, talking like, oh well we don't have Saquon, but we have Devin Singletary. Saquon looked fucking good though in that Eagles uniform on
Yeah.
that first week. 3 touchdowns. He looked he looked like exactly like Saquon looks. And I think that's a loss for the entire NFC East because that might have been the downside of their offense the past couple years was like the run game.
Mm-hmm.
They had Jalen Hurts, they had the weapons at receiver. We all know that. AJ Brown, Devontae, all of them. But everyone was wondering if they have that at running back who can still catch the ball out the backfield in Saquon like that. I mean, I don't see how you're excited about that matchup. I mean, you still have Jalen Hurts running the ball, who's going to be a problem in itself. But I mean, that NFC East has to be looking and watch that first game and be just like, oh my gosh, we really let these guys in division. We let him sign with the Eagles. No one else got him. Like I don't know. So I think all three of those other teams are losers because of that. Because if that pans out the way Week 1 looked, that's gonna be absolutely terrifying the rest of the year.
And Jahan Dotson in division.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah. It's funny you say that,
Forgot
Joe.
about that one.
It's funny you bring up Saquon, because he was actually going to be my last winner I brought up. Obviously, looked incredible first game as a Eagle. I believe he became the first Philadelphia Eagle to score both a rushing and receiving touchdown in his first game. So, hats off to him. Had 109 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 23 receiving yards, and only 2 catches. One of those being that receiving touchdown. So, yeah, like you said, looks just like old Saquon, and maybe not having to play at MetLife for half the season is going to save his legs a little bit, because despite playing on one of the worst conditions I've ever seen on an NFL field, he didn't get hurt, which I think it's got to be really encouraging for Philadelphia, because if there was going to be any game that he would get hurt in, I feel like it would be this one, with him slipping and sliding all over the place. So,
no, it's grass. It wasn't turf. So
that's true. It might be. I'll just watch it.
As long as you're not playing at MetLife, you have an advantage.
Yeah.
MetLife is awful.
Yeah. Well, he's got to play there once this year, so maybe they rest him for that one or something, just to spare him.
They sit him.
But yeah, Saquon looked incredible, as opposed to his fellow running back, big signee counterpart, Derrick Henry. His team actually chose to give him the ball. So he was able to do a little bit more with it, and not just on the first drive of the game, but actually throughout the game. They kept giving him the ball, like you typically do with top tier lead running backs. That Baltimore just still hasn't seemed to figure out that formula yet somehow. But
no, but they did. They kept giving it to Lamar, their top tier running back.
That's true. Yeah, you got me there.
Hey, John Harbaugh came out and said that they didn't bring Derrick Henry to give him the ball 30 times a game. And as a Steelers fan, let's go.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
ERO.
What? Derrick Henry is not going to be as good as Derrick Henry can be if he doesn't get at least 20, 25 touches. Like, that's just how his game is built. He's not a one cut, one burst. I mean, he can be, because he's a freak, but he's typically a big bruiser but anyway, this isn't supposed to be about.
If Lamar's rushing for 100+ a game, then, I mean, it might help a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley looked incredible if he continues to play like this, which, granted, I don't think the Packers' run defense is going to end up being very good this season, so that may end up being a big reason he was able to get the kind of room he was able to get. But yeah, I think Saquon's going to go into the season and continue to be good unless he gets hurt. Knock on wood.
I don't have another winner, but I got another loser.
I want to hear it.
And it's Carolina. How do you look worse than last year? I mean, geez Louise, getting 40 put on you by the Saints? My goodness. Can't do it.
That's
defense.
Yeah.
That might be the worst defense in a long time. It is week one.
Week 1, they gave up that many points. That's the even worse part.
On less than 400 yards of offense, too, somehow. So they did it in really, really quick fashion. It's impressive how quickly the Saints were able to score.
Hey, Derek Carr throwing that, then I scored 3 on you. The JC Horn, though, I was with it. I was all for that.
JC Horn's supposed to be nice.
Well, I mean, when you're one out of scrubs, I don't know how easy that is to do your job.
That's true.
He's on an island by himself with no one around him, it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, going back to the winner's side of it, Circlebird's gonna appreciate this one. My last winner is the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Woo!
I mean,
the Bakerneers.
Aaron, you brought up the stat about how many quarterbacks didn't throw over 200 yards. I mean, Baker Mayfield had 6 incompletions and 4 touchdowns in week 1. That's some kind of stuff you usually see, a few more weeks into the season when guys have been clicking a little bit more, had a little more reps. But I mean, You talk about hit the ground running, and it's the Commanders. I know the Commanders. You guys are awful, so it doesn't really matter. But if how you want to start a season, if that, I mean, that's what you want. If you're Tampa, you're geeked over getting Baker that contract that you guys gave him. I mean, Chris Godwin looked great. 83. I think he had over 80 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans is going to be Mike Evans. We're not even going to question him. Jalen McMillan. I mean, it's just a heck of a start. It's a heck of a start to week one, and I'm loving seeing Baker do it. So he's got Bucks overall as a whole are the winner, but Baker Mayfield especially, man, good for him.
Yeah, unlike the Browns franchise, Mike Evans doesn't turn his back on Baker Mayfield. He re-signed, he comes back, and he scores 2 touchdowns in week 1. So,
Well, I mean,
great
he
man.
has to turn his back to him to run routes.
Okay.
So that's not wholly true.
All right.
He has better stats than Deshaun Watson does.
He does. That's right. Browns franchise looking
I'm
dumb.
sure the Browns would have really liked Baker Mayfield in week 1 this year.
Mm-hmm. My last loser, I'm trying to find his stats real quick. I really don't need them to justify just how bad this man was. But, for the sake of anybody who may have watched us back last season, or I guess the season before that even, I used to have faith in Daniel Jones. And that faith evaporated long ago, and this week 1 performance, if you want to call it that, is more evidence why I should have hopped off and probably never even gotten on the Daniel Jones bandwagon. 22 for 42, so damn near less than 50% completion percentage. 186 yards on 42 attempts, which is just terrible. Deshaun Watson levels of pitiful. But instead of throwing any touchdowns, like at least Deshaun had that one good drive. Daniel Jones, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, 5 sacks, and he ran for a cool 15 yards on 6 carries. So suffice it to say, Daniel Jones' career is coming to a close, at least in the NFL, at least as a starter. Maybe he finds a backup role somewhere after this, but I expect Drew Lock to take over starting quarterback duties in New York by week 5 at the latest, at this rate. So, winner, Drew Lock. Massive loser, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's
Office does not look like it's paying off very well this offseason, man.
I thought with the beard maybe it would be different, but no, same old, same old. Still trash.
I can throw another loser out there if we're interested.
So since you're the pessimist of the group,
Get it.
and you got all losers.
Cincy, what the hell was that?
Oh god.
I mean, going out and losing to what could easily be, like one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. You go out and score 10 points. I mean, that's pitiful. I guess it doesn't matter whether Joe Burrow participates in training camp or not. They come out slow. That was just not a good showing. They could have a bad defense this year.
Yeah, it looks really, really bad right now. I can't lie.
I mean, my final loser was also Cincy. I'm going with the overreaction type of picks. And I mean, Cincy can suck it, dude. Making 10 points against the Patriots. It's not a Bill Belichick defense either. I mean, it's Gerard Mayo, first-year head coach, and you put up 10 points. I mean, Jamar was out there. It looks like you could have used Tyler Boyd. I don't know. Cincy can, whatever. Steelers first in the division. Let's get it. But anyway, I'll just pick up where Aaron did. Just pick another loser, and my next one is actually gonna be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh.
Leading most of the game. Should have ultimately, I think, pulled it off. I mean, they really got stifled in that second half. I mean, heck, Miami PD tried to let Tyreek on the field earlier in the day.
Tried to help him out, yeah.
Calais Campbell.
And Calais
Like-
Campbell.
Exactly. So I mean that's not good. You have Travis Etienne had 44 yards. He did have a touchdown, but then you have backup Tank Bigsby hitting you for 70 on the same amount of carries. Trevor Lawrence had a 62 QBR. I mean it's week 1. Shout out Brian Thomas. He had a heck of a first
The
game.
one bright spot in that
First
receiving
game.
core right now.
Fantasy. But I mean, they shouldn't have lost that game. They shouldn't have, and they're gonna need to win those kind of games if they want to be who they ultimately think that they can be and who they paid Trevor Lawrence to be.
Yeah, I expected one of their 3 receivers, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas Jr. to get kind of iced out week 1, which is why I didn't start Brian Thomas Jr. in fantasy this week. But I was stupid because it was Christian Kirk who got iced out, and Brian Thomas Jr. actually got the majority of the workload. So, yeah, I hope the Jags can turn it around because that offense seems like it could be really fun if they can figure it out. But I mean, man, they paid Trevor Lawrence now, so there's really nothing they can do. They gotta just kind of ride out that contract at this point. So, he's just got to get better at this. I don't know that you can really say he's been better than league average since he's entered the league. At times he's been, but like just overall, if you just look at his stats from rookie year to now, it just looks like a league average quarterback. So you gotta fix something there. But unless y'all got anything else.
Oh, actually, I do. Big winner. It won't be long. Dak Prescott. Man, his agent is a hell of an agent, man. Good for him.
Yeah,
What they
highest
need
paid.
to do. I mean, every quarterback in the league loves Dak Prescott because he's reset the market now twice,
Yeah.
and without a
Well-
Super Bowl win and barely any playoff production. So,
Well, I think Jerry Jones forgot about the first contract because recently he did come out and say that every time they have the highest paid quarterback in the league, they win a Super Bowl. So clearly he has forgotten about the first time they had to pay Dak since that didn't work out. But unless you got anything else now, I think that'll do it for this episode of the most
Good.
unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Cirkberg Burkle. With the host today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Please let us know your biggest winners and losers of week 1 this season down below in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you made it this far into the video and enjoy our content. That way you can look out for any more future videos. Other than that, deuces, and have a good day.